What's up everybody and welcome back to the channel. Manchester United are in action again, of course, in the Premier League for matchday 16. We are up against Manchester City at the Etihad Stadium tomorrow, 4:30 p.m. kickoff. Manager, of course, is Pep Guardiola, and Pep Guardiola's managerial career, he's managed just four sides in his career so far. Barcelona B, he started off at, then he went, of course, moved up to Barcelona, where he did win the Champions League, and then Bayern Munich as well, and then now, of course, he is managing Manchester City, and he began managing Manchester City from July 2016, and he all of his previous teams, Bayern Munich and Barcelona, he did have a win percentage of above 70%. The only team which he had a win percentage below was Barcelona B, and that was 66.67%. So he's a really good manager in my opinion, and he's done well in his career in terms of the trophies and titles and honours he's won. He's won for Manchester City. He's won 6 Premier League titles in the 7 seasons he's been here, if I'm not mistaken, and then 2 FA Cups, 4 EFL Cups, 3 FA Community Shields, 1 Champions League, 1 Super Cup, 1 Club World Cup, since he took charge of Manchester City. So, he's done really well in terms of his managerial career. I think he did win the Champions League twice. Of course, he won the Champions League twice with Barcelona, in both finals against Manchester United as well. But unfortunately for him, he didn't manage to win the Champions League with Bayern Munich, and I think that was possibly a little bit disappointing for him in terms of his career as well, because you go into a side like Bayern Munich to win the Champions League, because it's a guarantee that they're going to win the league every season. So we probably should have won the Champions League with that Bayern side. But yeah, in terms of Manchester United, though, last season, Manchester United did lose both games against Manchester City at home and away in the Premier League. In October 2023, Manchester United lost 3-0 at home, courtesy of goals from Haaland, who scored 2, and Foden. Then away from home in March 2024, Manchester United lost 3-1 to City away from home at the Etihad. Rashford did score in the 8th minute for United to make it 1-0, but in the second half, Foden scored 2 and then Haaland scored 1, and City won that game 3-1. However, in the FA Cup final, of course, last season, Manchester United did win 2-1, courtesy of goals from Garnacho and Mainu, and then Doku did get a late second half goal, but Manchester United did go on to win the FA Cup final, under Erik ten Hag as well. Last season, of course, Pep Guardiola with Manchester City finished first, and they did win the league with 91 points. They won 28 games, drawn 7, lost 3, scored 96 goals, conceded 34, and had a goal difference of 62 as well. Our most recent game against Manchester City, though, did come in the FA Community Shield, which finished 1-1 in regulation time. It did go to penalties, and then Manchester United lost 7-6 on penalties, unfortunately, to Manchester City. So yeah, in terms of some insights for the match, let's just quickly take a look at some insights right here. Manchester City have won 5 of their last 6 Premier League games against Manchester United, losing just 1, more than they had in their previous 13, and in their previous 13 they won 4, drew 3 and lost 6. Manchester United have lost each of their last 3 Premier League games away against Manchester City, conceding 13 goals in the process. They last lost 4 consecutive league visits to the Citizens between 1952 and 1955. Manchester United have lost 20 Premier League games against Manchester City. Only against Arsenal, 21, have they lost more in the competition. And Manchester City have conceded at least twice in 7 games in their last 11 Premier League games, winning 4, drawing 3 and losing 4, as many times as they had in their previous 62 in the competition. And Manchester United have lost both of their last 2 Premier League games, losing 3 in a row within a single season in December 2015 under Louis van Gaal. New manager Ruben Amorim is yet to lose 3 on the bounce in his top flight managerial career, with this his 172nd such match across Portugal's Primeira Liga and England's Premier League. So very interesting that Ruben Amorim He's yet to lose 3 on the bounce in his top flight managerial career, and it remains to be seen whether he is going to lose tomorrow. But yeah, we'll see about that tomorrow. In terms of some recent form for Manchester City, Manchester City have only won 1 in their last 10 games in all competitions. They lost 5 games in a row, drawing 3-3 to Feyenoord, and then before drawing 3-3 to Feyenoord, then they lost to Liverpool. They beat Nottingham Forest 3-0 at home, and then they drew to Palace 2-2. And then most recently, they are coming away with a 2-0 loss to Juventus in the Champions League. And currently in the Champions League, they are 22nd in their Champions League phase, and they are 5th in the Premier League. So yeah, in terms of Manchester City's team news, you've got Stones, Akanji, Ake and Lewis, Rodri of course, and Oscar Bob, who are all out. So in terms of their starting lineup, this is who I'm expecting. We could see Edison in goal, but we are seeing Ortega for the past couple of games. I don't know the last game Edison did start, but Ortega did start against Juventus and the last Premier League game as well. So Ortega, Walker, Diaz, Guardiola making up that back 3. Then Gundogan and Silva making that double pivot. Then Savinho, De Bruyne, Grealish and Doku making that front 4 attack. And then Haaland up front as well. So how do Manchester City play? I mean, we all know how they play in terms of their low build-up. Guardiola likes to set up its side in a 4-2-5 formation with the goalkeeper playing between the centre-backs and a box midfield. Obviously, they like to play out from the back. They like to keep hold of the ball. They like to keep hold of possession. He also likes to invert the full-back as well. He uses a back 4 in defence sometimes, but a back 3 in attack. That means one defender needs to push up as a winger or invert into midfield during the build-up phase. In the high build-up phase, Guardiola, they set up in a 3-2-5 formation, which is very, very popular when you are in the opposition's final third and you are attacking. You set up in that 3-2-5 formation. And then the 2 holding midfielders are rarely positioned in the same line. Of course, one will always be a little deeper, and obviously it depends on where the ball is. They play with a high back line as well. It helps in the counter press because they get closer to the centre. They also change formation as well in terms of their build-up plays to confuse opponents. Linking with the striker, Guardiola likes central overloads and when attacking the opposition. So many opponents do defend with 4 midfielders to neutralise City's box midfield. But Pep's answer is to sometimes drop the striker Haaland into that midfield to outnumber the opposition as well. Finding pockets as well. Man City midfielders, they like to find the pockets. Final third, they like attacking the half space. They create many chances, mainly by attacking the space between the opposition centre-back and full-back and taking it inside. The winger sometimes doesn't have to kind of play the ball to the underlapping player. Sometimes the underlapping player will often drag away a defensive midfielder, which opens the space inside as well. They also like to deploy overlaps as well when trying to create opportunities in the final third and creating 2v1 situations on the wing. Many players in the box as well. They like to defend with many players getting into the box and creating overloads in them areas. So defending wise, they like to press the opposition high when possible in a 4-1-3-2 formation, and many teams use a 4-3-3 formation in the build-up, which would give them a numerical advantage against low down against Manchester City's 6 midfielders and forwards as well. But in the low press, Guardiola uses a 4-4-2 formation as well when they look to set up in a mid-block, always trying to close the centre of the pitch, forcing the opposition out wide. Defensive transitions as well, positioning many players centrally creates any numerical advantages in midfield and creates good conditions in defensive transitions as well. So in terms of to summarise their tactics, they like keeping possession of the ball, of course, third man runs, bounce passes, numerical advantages, overlaps. They're a really good side, and I'm just kind of surprised that they have only got 1 win in the last 10 in all comps. So in terms of their star man, I'm gonna have to go with Haaland. I forgot to write down how many. I think he scored 13 goals in the Premier League so far and 5 in the Champions League. I'm not sure, but he's a proven goal scorer. He's any space and time in the box, he's going to put the ball away. And Manchester City, with the attacking plethora they do have, with the likes of Silva, Grealish, De Bruyne, Savinho, Doku, they are going to create opportunities, and Haaland is most probably going to get on the score sheet as well. So yeah, in terms of Manchester United, our last match was in the Europa League against Viktoria Plzen, and we did win that game 2-1. An individual error from Onana was how we conceded a goal against Plzen, and we are seeing a couple of them coming out. We saw a couple of them against Forest as well, unfortunately. So we need to be getting better at kind of not giving away the ball in dangerous areas and the opposition going on to score. In terms of the scoreline as well against Plzen, it should have been more comfortable. We did dominate the game in terms of possession. Mount had a couple of chances in the second half to basically put the game away, and also we had a couple of opportunities on the counter-attack which we definitely should have taken, but we didn't, unfortunately. So yeah, in terms of our other matches against Forest and Arsenal, we are coming away with 2 Premier League defeats in a row, unfortunately, and we are looking to bounce back. So in terms of Manchester United's team, in terms of team news for United, the only player that we have out currently is Luke Shaw. Of course, he's still out. But yeah, in terms of my team for Manchester United, this is who I've gone for. Obviously the same back four with same keeper, of course, Onana and net, Mazraoui, De Ligt, and Martinez making up that back three. Then for my four in midfield as wing backs, I've gone with Anthony because I thought he was really good against Viktoria Plzen when he came on, and I have been very critical of Anthony. I'm not going to lie. I don't think he's necessarily got the quality to be playing for Manchester United, but if he can do well in this wing-back role and free up Ahmad to play in that number 10 position in that front three, then I think he could kind of maybe revive his career. I'm not sure. It remains to be seen. One good game against Plzen, it's not kind of... he wasn't even that good. He was decent. I think in terms of, I'm putting him in because I want Ahmad to be free in that number 10 role, and he did link up with Ahmad really well against Plzen. And also, like, when Dallo was playing right wing back and Ahmad was in that 10 in the first half against Viktoria Plzen, Ahmad wasn't really in the game and he kind of looked out of it, and Dallo wasn't really providing too much link-up play with Ahmad. So that's what I've got with Anthony. For the central midfielders, I have gone with Ugarte and Mainu. I'm expecting both of them to start simply because they've got the legs. Mainu is, of course, 19, and he can get about and kind of make tackles and interceptions, and I think he was leading like tackles and interceptions at one point in the Premier League. Ugarte, of course, that ball winning capability as well. We need that dog in midfield, and Ugarte is just a dog in it. So yeah, Dallo at left wing back. I can understand why people have been complaining about Dallo a little bit. In terms of him going forward, Dallo has not been great in my opinion. He missed. His quality in the final third isn't great. His crosses and his general kind of play in the final third isn't great. But defensively, I think the pace that he has, he is okay defensively most of the time, in my opinion. So in terms of that front three, I think this front three has to start. I think we got to go with Ahmad and Bruno in their number 10 positions, and then Højlund up front. So that's my front three. I think we have to see that front three, and that's basically our front three that are creating the most chances. They're scoring the most goals. They're providing the most assists as well. So of course, assists are coming from Ahmad and Bruno, and then Højlund is getting on the score sheet, and then also of course Bruno and Ahmad are kind of getting a couple of goals as well. Recently, especially Ahmad in the Europa League. But yeah, Ahmad in the Premier League, I don't think he scored. I think he's only scored one, I think, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, Starman for Manchester United. I'm gonna go this time. You know what? I'm gonna go with Ahmad again. Last game I've been going with Ahmad for the last couple of games. I'm gonna go with Ahmad again. He has been playing really well in the last couple of games, and he has been providing assists, good attacking link-up play down that right side, whether it's at wing-back or that number 10 position that we saw against Plzen. I think he's been playing really well, and I think he deserves to start in that number 10 position as well. So yeah, in terms of my star man, it is going to be Ahmad, but of course Bruno, it does get a shout as well because he's been playing well as well. So in terms of how do you beat Manchester City? Of course, pace, power, strength, unpredictability on the counter-attack especially, of course. I think it is going to be best for us if we sit back, absorb the pressure that Manchester City are going to have, and then just counter-attack. Let them have the ball, let them play, and then kind of only press in certain situations where you know you're going to win the ball, and don't commit fully, because they're just going to play through us, even though they are on a really kind of bad run of form. Like, they could just turn it up at any time they want and just play Manchester United off the park. So I really don't want us to high press. I want us to sit back and counter, similar to how Sporting Lisbon did play against Manchester City in the Champions League when they won 4-1. That was a very impressive performance by Ruben Amorim's Sporting Lisbon last month or the month before. I don't remember. I think it might have been October. But yeah, so that performance by Sporting Lisbon when they won 4-1 was really good. So if we can just kind of play the same way that Sporting did, then we could be coming away with 3 points. But that remains to be seen. But in terms of the midfield battle, we need to be intense in that midfield. We need to kind of dominate the midfield. Or not dominate necessarily, but shut down the spaces that the Man City midfielders are going to have. Obviously, close them down. Don't give them time and space on the ball to think. In terms of going forward, though, we need to be confident on the ball. We need, of course, touches inside the box. We need to tighten up defensively, because they could score at any time. Final third decision making, of course, needs to be on point, because we are not going to get too many opportunities this game, in my opinion. I think Man City are gonna shore up defensively, because they're gonna be wary of our attack, especially like Ahmad and Bruno. They are they're players that can hurt any team in the Premier League. So I think they are going to tighten up defensively. So final third decision making needs to be on point. When we do get in them positions, we need to be clinical in terms of that final third pass, and that's why I've not gone with Garnacho. I've not gone with Rashford. I think they've been poor. Both of them have been poor. So this is why Bruno Fernandes and Ahmad do have that quality in the final third. In terms of other things as well, finish your chances. We have to be absolutely clinical. Like, when we get a chance, and we have to put it away. We just have to put it away, because we're not gonna get loads of opportunities this game. So when we do get a chance, when we do get an opportunity, we need to put the ball into the back of the net. In terms of the league table, let's just take a quick look at the league table. So let's take a look at Man City's results as well. Is this mad? Let's take a look at Manchester City's results. It's just kind of mad, what's going on with them. So Manchester City coming away with that 2-0 loss against Juventus in the Champions League. Their last win in the Premier League was against Forest. They drew 2-2 to Palace. Manchester United also drew 0-0 to Palace earlier on in the season. Lost to Liverpool at Anfield. Drew to Feyenoord, blowing a 3-0 lead in the Champions League. Lost to Tottenham in the league. Lost to Brighton in the league. Lost to Sporting in the Champions League. Lost to Bournemouth. And then lost to Tottenham as well. And this is what kicked off Manchester City's barren run of form, which has led them to only one win in the last 10 games in all competitions. So this is the actual predicted lineup that we are seeing on FootMob. I'm personally not expecting Lenny Yoro to start. I wouldn't start Lenny Yoro. I wouldn't start Mason Mount either. Of course, I would go with Anthony and Ahmad, but apart from that, everyone else would be starting for me. In terms of the Premier League, let's have a look at the Premier League table quick time. Liverpool today did drop points against Fulham, unfortunately for them. So Liverpool have dropped points in the last two games, which I would be expecting Liverpool to be winning against Newcastle and Fulham, but Andy Robertson did get sent off against Fulham in the first half, I think. So unfortunately for them, they have dropped points. Let's see if Chelsea can close the gap. They are playing Brentford tomorrow. But Manchester City, though, are sitting 5th in the Premier League right now with 8 wins, 3 draws and 4 losses, scoring 27 goals, conceded 21 with a +6 goal difference. And you can see their form here. It's just not great, is it? So this from the 2nd of November, they've lost 4 in a row in the league, and then that game against Forest. Then they drew to Palace, and then and now they're going to play United tomorrow. So yeah, Manchester United on the other hand, it's not looking good for us in the Premier League. We are 13th with 15 played, and even my Premier League prediction video that I made a couple months ago. Even I didn't have the Man United 13th. I had Man United like 8th or ninth or something. So it is very kind of unfortunate that we are in this position, but we're just not been good enough really this season. I think the league season is basically written off in terms of us finishing in the top 7. I don't think we're going to finish in the top 7. I think the highest that we can finish is 8th. But there are a couple of teams that are yet to play that are above us. So yeah, in terms of our form recently, like it's just mid-table. Like look at that, like it's just mid-table form, and what can be said about that really? Like we've just not been good enough so far this season, and I don't think this game against Manchester City is going to be any different, to be honest with you. So yeah, Manchester United, if we do win, we would move to 22 points. And that remains to be seen where we would be in the league table, because obviously other teams are above us that haven't played. Tottenham hasn't played. Brentford hasn't played yet. But whatever. The league table for us is just looking really bad. So I did mention in my video a couple of videos ago, like I take a top half finish. Like give me 10th, finish 10th, and then we win the Europa League. I'll take that, because winning the Europa League means that we are going to be playing Champions League football next season. So if you give me, finish 10th and then win the Europa League, I'll take that. But it would be our worst finish in the Premier League, era, or I think in the Premier League era. Yeah, I'm not sure ever in terms of first division or whatever, but definitely in the Premier League era, of course. Last season was our worst finish, where we finished 8th. So yeah. In terms of my score prediction, let's wrap it up. In terms of my score prediction, look, I don't think we're going to win this game. I think Manchester City are going to win. Hopefully I'm proven wrong, but I'm going to go for a 2-1 Manchester City win. I think Haaland is going to score 2, and I think Bruno is going to score 1. So, actually, I'll go with Ahmad. I'll go with Ahmad scoring 1 and then Haaland scoring 2. Manchester City winning the game 2-1. Look, I am a Manchester United fan, of course, but I'm a realistic Manchester United fan. I'm not deluded. So there have been games that I've predicted us to win, and we just didn't win, unfortunately. There are games that I predicted us to lose, and we kind of got a result. So hopefully I am proven wrong. It is obviously just a prediction, but hopefully we do come away with all 3 points. Hopefully I am proven wrong, but like I predicted a win against Forest and we lost. So yeah, that was very disappointing disappointing losses against Arsenal and Forest. If we had won them games, then we would have been closing the gap in the top half of the league. But yeah, it's just really unfortunate. So anyway, hopefully we do win, and hopefully we pick up all 3 points, and hopefully I'm proven wrong. But anyway, if you enjoyed this preview, leave a like, comment and subscribe, and I'll catch you after the match.